go. And good afternoon. It's 5 o'clock here in the afternoon in the UK, and it's a scorcher once again today. I tell you what, I've got my cloth here, my trusted cloth. I am really, 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 really out. And but anyway, we still need to continue. I think my guest is laughing, and it's nice to have guests when they're smiling. So Macy, is it Macy?
Messy,
Yes,
messy.
Messy. What a name that is. Anyway, wonderful name. Is that your real name, or do you use it just for the podcast?
My real name is Melissa. So
Melissa.
my nickname is Missy. And it's just ironic that I tend to be messy. And then I find myself in the middle of a lot of messes.
Right. So,
So it
so,
all works.
so really, yeah. So if you get married to Macy, guys, she's messy. Anyway, that's a tongue-tied thing to do. Anyway, welcome to Crossroads, and it's nice having you. Tell everybody out there a bit about yourself and what you do.
I live, and it feels so good to live again. Um,
Amen.
I'm Melissa. I am founder of the Messy Missy brand, and it's very real, raw, and authentic. It is really quintessentially who I am as a person. I am a former CEO of a healthcare company, and I lost everything. And I will say everything, as in everything material, overnight. And I recently chose to rebuild publicly instead of hiding. And I did survive 2 years of living, barely living. I lived through survival mode for 2 really messy years. Today, I help midlife women in their 40s, turn life's biggest messes into momentum by building simple online businesses. I want them to have independence, I want them to have an identity, and I want them to have income and ownership of their future. So, more than anything in the world, I want women to know that starting over doesn't mean starting from scratch. And that is the messy, messy world.
Brilliant. Very good. And congratulations on what you're doing. There's not many people do what you do, I'm afraid, and you know, we need to make more awareness of this, don't we? In this world of ours. Um, Tell me about yourself. Why did you get into a mess?
I didn't really want to be in that mess. You know, I love entrepreneurship. I absolutely love building businesses. About just over a decade ago, I was a very young mom. I had little children. Let's see what they were, 6 and 4 ish, and I found myself going through a divorce, and the first in my family to go through a divorce. So kind of that black sheep, if you will. And through the divorce, I built a business all on my own. And that kind of started me on building businesses through the messes and raising children independently, financially independent as a young mom. And I did that. And it was beautiful. And then fast forward a decade, and I found myself in just another mess as the CEO of a healthcare company. And what happened was a ripple effect of another person's divorce that really, so just divorce is very messy and financially messy, and you find your world turned upside down. And so this divorce was not my own, this was somebody else's divorce. And I just got caught into a ripple effect that turned into a tsunami that just tore my life apart. And here we are.
Gosh. So when people are in a mess, sometimes it's hard to get out. It's like digging a pit, and you're looking for the area or the way to get out, and it could be, a long time for that to happen. How did you get to? Hang on for a second. I don't want to be in this mess no more. I want to
Hmm.
go get over that mess and go into recovery.
That's the tricky part. I think it's very individual. I think every single one of us is different. And I love that about us. And I also think that we find ourselves right now in this, I call it a technological revolution, right? So where we're finding more and more people behind a screen, less human interaction, more bots, more AI running our worlds, we start to feel this epidemic of loneliness. And while we're in these middle of these messes that have consumed our lives, we have less human connection. So coming out of the mess, building life through the mess, it because everything was kind of taken from me within a 2 week span. I lost my job, I lost my income, I lost my savings accounts, I lost all my finances, and I lost my home within 2 weeks. So my life became completely unrecognizable. I didn't know what trauma was. I didn't know what I knew mental health, right? Big term mental health. I didn't know personally how that would affect me. So getting out of it, I spent 2 years in it, in the hole, clawing my way through it every single day. Like I use this analogy like I was in a sand pit and I was using my hands to claw myself out of it, but without any webbing, right? The sand falls through your hands and you have no traction to get out of it. So I just kept clawing my way through it for 2 years and I stayed in it for 2 years. But what I was building through that, I didn't realize were some tools that I could now use to help others going through it. How I was able to turn a very simple to do list into a tool now to help people go from survival to momentum.
Yeah.
And so I used that time surviving. It was very ugly. But I don't have like a pinnacle moment of this is when everything changed. I just kept getting up and trying every single day. I just kept trying. And eventually I got to a point where I am very faith-based and I heard God saying to me, use your voice.
Hmm.
And I had started the podcast in my podcast in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
When I was had just been evicted from my home, I couldn't keep the podcast going. And I kept hearing him say, use your voice. And so I started the podcast again just recently, a few months ago, and I've been using my voice. And then I came up to this moment of, okay, I really want to go home. I really would like a home again. The sense of not having a home creates so much chaos, right? There's no certainty, there's no stability, there's no comfort, there's nowhere to go for it. So I created a personal challenge to myself called Project Homeward Bound. And I started out showing up every single day. I'm on day 30 right now out of 80 days. And
Well
I
done.
said, I want to go home. I want a home. But what happened 30 days in right now is I'm not focused on the home any longer. I'm focused on living again. I'm focused on building my dream life. And so every single day, I am getting up to build my dream life. I don't know where I'll be. I have no idea where I'm going to be. I'm using my voice on my podcast. I'm using my voice like here, reaching out to you and saying, "Can I come, come
Yeah.
here and tell my story with your audience, share it?" Because nobody should ever go through what I went through. Nobody should ever feel alone.
When you went through that loneliness, did you have the children with you? I bet that was hard, wasn't it?
It's very challenging because I couldn't take care of myself. I could not take care of myself. I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping, I was not brushing my teeth, I was not taking showers. And yet I was responsible for raising teenagers. Now they're teenagers. And I could barely show up for myself. I didn't know how to show up for them. My daughter pointed that out to me, and she said, "You're not. You can't even be a mom right now." And that's true. I couldn't, but I tried, and that
The,
was
tr-
all I
the,
had
tr-
in me.
the trouble is, though, people can say that to you and you can say that to yourself. But the trouble is, the fact is, we are parents, aren't we? We're our parents, and in our lives, our children are our lives, and we would do anything to protect the children. But
Absolutely.
but when you were going through like all the ups and downs and the depression, all the certainly with depression, and your mental health was probably all over the place and everything. How could you look after the children? And it must have been hard for you. You know, did you reach out to anybody and say, hey, I need help?
Oh, absolutely. I had some help. What the funny thing about help is people will give you help the way they think
But
you
yeah,
need help.
yeah, yeah.
And I kept saying, but that's not the kind of help I need. But I had to take it at face value and be grateful for how the my family showed up for me, helping me, and take it for that's what they're offering. That's what they can do. That's what they know how to do. It wasn't what I needed, but I took it and I was grateful for it. So yes, my family helped me. I became more of a caregiver to others during that time. Um, while I felt like I couldn't, I was cooking for my parents, I was cooking for my sister and her family. They were helping me with my children. They helped me make sure that I had Christmas ready for my children. So it was a give and take. Um, and then I started showing up serving strangers. And that started to give me more and more purpose every single day, serving other people in need while I felt like I was the one in need.
What's it like to have a purpose in life? Because when you come out of something that's really bad, like trauma-wise, you know, and you're looking for that. Well, I'm a Christian myself. I do believe in God myself. I'm, I'm fully, and you know, things happen in my life. I can't explain it, but
Mhm.
it's done it. And the trouble is, what is so you were there, and you were there in the right mess, and you come out of it, and you go through this challenging time. Your family's helping you, and all this lot. You must have been feeling kind of low, guilty, probably. You know, do I have a purpose in mind? You know,
Right. Yeah, I thought my purpose truly was when I got to the pinnacle of my career as the CEO of the healthcare company, multi-million dollar healthcare company. We had gotten through the pandemic. We were growing. It was beautiful. I had an all female executive team, and I thought that was my purpose. But God had other plans for me. So
yeah.
when it all disappeared overnight and I wasn't the CEO, and that was my identity, 18-hour days, that was my identity. Um, I will say I still don't know what my purpose is right now. I'm building through it. I'm a helper. I'm a server, and there is a reason I'm still alive. Only God knows that. God has a purpose for me, and I'm really still exploring it. I honestly, and I
Yeah.
say this often, I would not be alive right now if it weren't for God, if there was no God. God has continued to make a way
There
every
is
time I
cer-
don't see it.
there is certainly there is certainly definitely a God, and also God has a plan for you. You know, I remember just recently I had to give up a group because I wasn't well. I used to run a stroke club in where I live, and I had to give up that. And
Mm,
I said to God one day, I said, God, but I love doing that. I really did, and
mm,
you know, and God said, you know, I've got other plans for you. You know, you must, you know, move on. And I'm thinking, well, but it's not because I love it. I love it. You know, and I cried for personally. I cried for when my wife was not around me. I was in tears, and
mhm.
so I was upset because I was fighting with God, saying, you know, God, why are you making this happen? But the trouble is, it's God's plan and God's timing.
Yes.
God's timing is perfect. And what you're doing at the moment, I only known you for about 20 minutes. And what you're coming over to me is this, that you are sharing your faith and you're telling people that you have been in a mess, you have been in the hole, and there's a way of getting out of that.
Mhm.
And by making a plan, you can have a forward journey. And that's yeah, and and that's what people want to hear. Pe- I think God's got a plan for you to do this and to kind of like tell people your story, and that's why on my shows and everything, I get people to come out and go, right, you share your story, you know. I do all my shows live. I'll tell you why. It's because I like the reaction that I get from my listeners,
Mm,
radio, podcast, whatever,
yes.
and because they're the ones that would tell me the facts. And the fact is now, what they're trying to tell me, what I can see, is they're telling me that, that you, as a person, as a survivor, who's been through quite a bit, as a, as, as a plan, God has got a plan for you by sharing your story to help so many other people, you know. And the point is, what I'm trying to say to you is this: that when you go through that recovery, when you were getting better, was there any suicidal thoughts? Were you thinking
Oh, yeah.
about kind of like, I want to end my life, but not thinking about the children? You forget about the when you're in a mess. Sometimes you forget about the children, and all you think about is selfish ways, isn't it? You're thinking,
Mm,
well, I'm going to kill myself.
mm. Well, that's funny. So I did always think about the children, which is why I am still here, outside of like, God waking me up every morning, right? I did constantly think about the children. And yes, there was a ton of depression. I wrote, I thought I didn't do anything in those 2 years. Literally, I thought, what a waste. I wasted so much great time. However, I did two things. I studied the Bible every morning and I wrote a letter every morning. I have a stack about this big of handwritten letters that I wrote. And I went to one of the letters. I have not been able to reread them yet because the one that I went to was about what you just asked about. I didn't want
Oh,
to live
right.
anymore.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know. So,
I didn't want to live anymore. And I wrote about that. And rereading that one letter brought tears to my eyes because that's how bad it was. I didn't realize it. You don't realize it. So yes, I didn't want to live anymore. There were many, many times I can think of instances where, you know, I was not going to live anymore. Off of a bridge, off of a this, off of a that.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I didn't follow through with it. Um and I can't explain why I didn't, but I can tell you that it was always about making sure I was there to take care of my children. I was 100% financially responsible for my raising my children. And when we,
Not really. You also had your partner too, who's supposed to have been there with you.
yeah,
Who's just supporting you. You know.
yeah, but
So, so I'm sorry to be a bit negative towards you, but the trouble is, I think what you're doing is you're blaming yourself.
mm, yeah,
You can't really blame yourself. There's two people in a relationship. Even though I don't know your relationship. I don't know if you're divorced or you're still living together. Or he's left and you're left on your own. You know, the trouble is, the point is, there's two of you. Your children want their mum and their dads. You know, they want them to be there. Whether you're not together no more, they still want it. And or some parents think, oh well, now we've had children, I want to stay away from that. I don't want to know my children. I just want, and that's what people are like. Um, but the trouble is, when you went through that point of kind of like the suicidal thoughts ending it, what was the point of saying, I'm not having this no more? I'm going through a bad time, but I want to get recovery. I want to be better for my children and better for myself.
I didn't have a point. I can't, I honestly cannot explain it. I think it must be supernatural because I can't explain it. I just kept going.
Yeah.
I didn't have a one point, and I wish I did. That's because a lot of people do ask me that. What was the one point? I don't have the one point. I just kept getting up again. No matter how many times I get pushed down, I kept getting back up.
Brilliant, brilliant, really good, really good. We're going to leave that for a second or so. So we're going to have a little break and we'll get back to this afterwards. Guys, keep watching. Thank you very much for watching. In the meantime, I'll see you in 2 minutes. Well done so far.
Oh, thank you. It's
Sorry
real.
if I'm coming over with a bit negative. I just want to get the story out.
No,
You all
I
right?
love it.
Okay.
I appreciate it. I don't want surface level. I want to get in there. I want to help
Yeah,
people.
yeah. I know you do. I can see it. I can see it. You're coming across very, very good.
It's hard. It's not. It's sad. It's I can feel it in my soul as I retell it.
Yeah, yeah. And I can see that you might have some. You get emotional when you're telling it.
Because you can't be the victim of it. I guess that's the biggest point is you can't be the victim.
No, no, not at all. And that's what I want to talk about next. Okay, and welcome back. That was a quick 2 minutes, but anyway, um, that's a long. That is the shortest I've heard a song go fast. I don't know who did that, but I will speak to you later on about that. But anyway, in the meantime, we are back to messy, and so we were talking during the break about victim, being the victim.
Mm-hmm.
Were you the victim?
I started to fall into that. I feel like it's a trap. So I started to catch myself saying, why did this happen to me? How did this happen to me? And start to try to understand it. And I went to a yoga retreat for a weekend. I almost didn't go. I got in line to check in and I had a complete overwhelming panic attack and almost walked out the door. But I didn't. So I proceeded to the yoga retreat. And I remember sitting at the table writing in my journal about victim or victor, and it's my choice. Now, I had very little to choose from, right? I had lost so much that all my choices went out the window. I couldn't choose how to spend my money because I didn't have any. I couldn't choose where I live because I didn't have a home. I couldn't choose much, but I did have a choice to become a victim of this story and this situation or rise to be the victor. And I refused to be a victim of it. So maybe that's the pinnacle point. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, that was
Steve?
it. Yeah, yeah. I just about to say that, but you read my lip. Yeah, it was. I reckon. I reckon so. When you let's move on a little bit. Let's move on to the CEO side of things. So you're at this stage. You're CEO of a company, and um, everything is good. It was good. Yeah, everything was good.
Oh, it was phenomenal. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Phenomenal.
So everything was good. Um, and it was growing and growing and growing. The next minute, what happened?
It was a divorce that was removed from me. So it was a husband who was the principal of the company, and he had gone through a divorce, and he had a major financial crisis that rippled down into me. And that's about all I want to say to all that, because it's just a
Yeah,
nightmare.
yeah. That's fine. That's fine. Sorry about my phone. It's going on.
That's okay.
Okay, oh, good. So you're coming over that, you're getting over that, and all of a sudden you come to a point now, at a point now where you're on here, you want to tell your story. Now you tell me your story now, where you are today, not the past. I don't want to hear the past
Yes,
anymore.
I love
What the
that.
story, what your story is today, because you have come a long way, coming to the victory, and can you imagine there's a finishing line and people are there about to clap you, welcome you, and that's just all your possible listeners and everything like that. So tell me, where are you today?
Today, I am a child of God. I am a mom. I am showing up every single day, living again, fully living every single day. I still have bouts of trauma. I still have bouts of panic attacks that happens. I'm learning to live with and through them. I am building my personal brand, the Messy Missy brand. I am a podcast hostess with the mostest. I am in temporary apartment housing, so it's still temporary. Um, I'm building my finances back. I'm paying debt. I'm building my dream life.
Brilliant. And see, and there's what I'm getting so many messages here. Let's see. I This is coming on my radio station, by the way. Um, I Messi. Well done on your. Well done. Well done. Um, Great to recover. Sorry about to hear about what's happened. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Steve is really good at what he does. Um, Please come back again. We enjoyed
Oh,
what
thank
doing this.
you.
Yeah, I'm getting loads of it. I'm getting loads of it. Messi, have you ever thought of coming back again on Steve's show? Guys, we can always do something. I'm totally open. Congratulations, congratulations. Um, have you got a website I could join? Do you have a book I could buy? Oh my goodness. Um, there's, I can tell you now, there's about 4,000 people on my radio station.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, 4,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So,
incredible.
everything is got. You get your negative points, but at the end of the day, I just ignore all that rubbish. I think The last couple of minutes, I want to do something really fun with you. I always do it with all my guests. I'm going to ask you some questions, some silly ones,
Okay, let's do it.
right? And you've got to ask me, right? So, if you won £1 million, what would you do with it?
Well, first off, I would pay for my children's education. Second, I would have a home, which for me is like a condo. And third, I would live on a boat.
Good, good. If you're on a desert island, right,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden you won the desert island, that desert island is yours. What would you do with it?
I
And
would
who would you take with you?
okay, I would turn it into a wellness retreat. The whole island would be all about people that are find themselves in the depths of despair, in depression, in trauma, and they would come to this island for rebuilding their whole life, and they would have every for free access to everything they ever needed to get healthy and wealthy for themselves. Who would I
Brilliant.
take with me? I would take my children with me, absolutely. And I would want to make sure that I had God's blessing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Um. What kind of music do you listen to?
I listen to everything.
Do you?
I listen to a lot of gospel music. I listen to country. I listen to like liberated women singing, like Brandy Carlisle. I listen to almost everything. Not I'm not big on R&B and I'm not big on rap, but um, country would be my
Okay.
go-to outside of gospel music.
Who do you admire the most?
Jesus Christ. That would be my biggest admiration. He died for our sins. So I admire Jesus.
Okay. 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 So, last couple of ones. Um. Right. So, if you everybody has an idol in life. I've got an idol in life. I don't know who your idol is in life. But if you was in town and all of a sudden you saw your idol coming down towards you, would you stop and talk to that person, two, snub that person, just walk by, or three, just give them a stare or her, and then just walk on?
I had this real life happen to me. When I come back, if I'm invited back, Steve, I have to tell you the story on another podcast. But
Yeah, you will do. Yeah.
I had this happen to me, and I had the moment to pause and decide what I was going to do, and I went straight up to them. So
Right. Okay.
I think that's what I would do again because I've already done it.
So if you ask me the question, it was Celine Dion, my favorite ever person,
Okay.
which I've got a big crush on. And one day she came to the UK, and I was interviewing somebody else for the radio station, and all of a sudden she came out, and I went, wow. So I walked up to her and I says, Celine, I think you are the sexiest person on earth. And she said, thank you. She said, why did you say that? I said, because I've admired you for years and years and years. And what you do and what your music is, it's astonishing. And I said, if you wasn't married, I'd marry you today. And that was it. I just left. But, so I'm not afraid, don't worry.
Oh
But,
my God, that is a great story.
yeah, it's true. There's another one. Right. Okay. So you're cooking. So what's your favorite meal? What's your favorite meal to eat?
So I'm Italian, so I cook all
Oh,
Italian from
yeah.
scratch. all Italian foods. I started, I actually started sourdough
Yeah.
in that dark period of my life. And my favorite thing to eat is a cannoli.
All right. I love spaghetti bolognese.
Well, there you go.
Yes. So I love a lot of pasta and things like that. But let's not get to that. Don't let's not even get to that part. Okay. Thank you so much for coming on.
The
Okay.
pleasure is all mine.
I
Thank
think
you.
I think story is amazing, and I'm gonna. Could you go onto my podcast page, like it, and share it for me?
Absolutely.
And what we're going to do, we're going to do a part two
Okay.
because there's more to come. There's more to
Yes.
come from you, and so I would like you also in future we could do something together, and it will be really good. In the meantime, guys, thank you to Messi. Now you can clean up now, Messi. Get the pump.
I'm helping everybody else clean up. I'm cleaned up. Everybody else that's in a mess, we're going to build through the mess. And that's what I'm helping you do.
That's it. That's well done. And if you got and tell people how to contact you, quick.
Yeah, that's a whole mess too. I have a website, www.messymissy.com. And that's the best way. And then you can find me from there.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, guys, there you go. That's a wonderful story we have, and we will get Messi back soon. If you stay there, I will talk to you after.
Thank you all. Thank you for listening.